Good morning, everyone. Happy Leap Day. That's something I don't get to say very often. And welcome to today's workshop entitled Budgeting and Cash Flow Management. For today's presentation, we are delighted to have representatives from Ringgold Financial Management Services. They represent the Illinois Department of Transportation in Districts 1, 2, and 3, basically the northern third of the state, when it comes to management level assistance for our DBEs. And one of those people I've had the privilege to know for several years on that team is Miss Olga De La Rosa. Olga, thanks for all you do and good morning.
Good morning, Brian. Thank you for having us today and welcome everybody to today's budgeting and cash flow management workshop. I hope you guys enjoy. Today's presenter is Miss Lily Bartkowski. She is partner of Ringgold Financial Management. So we're going to go over some housekeeping today. Please make sure you mute yourself and keep your video off through the presentation. We want to make sure that all the focus is on the presentation. Enter all questions in the Q&A, not in the chat. We will answer questions throughout the presentation. Just depending on how it goes, we'll ask them throughout or we'll wait till the end, but make sure you you put them in the Q&A. The session will be recorded and provided to firms in a follow-up email along with any other helpful resources. There may also be a short survey following the presentation, so please let us know how we can improve and any ideas for future workshops, anything you'd like to see from us. So today's agenda, we already did introductions, went over housekeeping. We're gonna go over IDOT's goals, supportive services and resources. We're gonna jump into our presentation with Lily and then do Q&A and do some closing remarks, and then you can do your evaluation after. Also, just a reminder, please make sure that you're putting your company name and email in the chat. So we're going to start with IDOT's goals. IDOT's goal is to provide assistance to DBE firms and individuals interested in doing business with the department in ways that ensure equity, access, and transparency. IDOT, in accordance with federal guidelines, strives to facilitate and implement programs that can help current and future business partners open the door to doing business with IDOT. The department works towards this goal in a variety of ways, most notably through the tools available at our resource centers, the supportive services program that is executed through our partnerships with consultants who provide management and technical supportive services, assistance, and corresponding supportive services program. The support is provided at no charge to IDOT's DBE firms, to firms seeking IDOT DBE certification, to Illinois UCP DBE certified firms who have an IDOT contract, and to prime contractors doing business with IDOT. Office of Business and Workforce Diversity. Brian Hendricks, Policy and Supportive Service Unit Manager. His email is below. So we're going to go over the DBE supportive services. Learn and grow with supportive services. While opportunities may increase for certified DBEs, it is not guaranteed. Free programs and resources support firms' goals at all phases of growth, such as developing technical and management skills, navigating operational expenses, connect with established firms, discover best practices for successful work with IDOT. You can visit idot.illinois.gov to find your nearest resource center. Resource centers. Each of IDOT's 9 districts offer essential equipment and resources to conduct business with the agency. Some of those resources are computer access, internet access, scanner, copier, printer access, staff assistance, including support for DBE applicants. These resource centers are free of charge to all firms seeking to do business with IDOT. You can scan the QR code on the screen or visit idot.illinois.gov for a list of locations in your district. Contract compliance officers are accountable for EEO and labor compliance on state and federally funded projects. They ensure contractor compliance with state, federal laws and regulations governing the EEO and the labor compliance and DBE programs. You can visit idot.illinois.gov and search for contract compliance officer to find a local officer in your district. The technical and management assistance. Ongoing assistance helps DBEs maintain a competitive edge. This assistance is complementary to IDOT's DBE firms or to firms certified in the Illinois UCP that are bidding on IDOT contracts. So for technical assistance, they offer estimating and bidding, equipment and resources, project site inspection, pre-qualification. On the management side, they offer bookkeeping systems and credit restoration, bonding and insurance, business and strategic plans, and marketing.
Realized that the Phoenix Police Department had given up on trying to find my sister's killer.
Supportive services consultants.
Well, Mr. Paterno did like for an update, and he told me there were no new developments.
Excuse me, if everybody could please mute their phones. Thank you.
Thank you. There we go. Sorry about that. So for certification, here we have the map for all the different districts. So for certification in District 1 through 3, we have Mr. Theo Joyner for Ralph G. Moore and Associates. Districts 4 through 6, Melissa Hamilton for Synergetic Solutions. District 7 through 9, Mark Vaughn for FV Consulting. You can see their telephone numbers and their email addresses, so you can contact them. For management services, for District 1 through 3, we have Michelle Ringgold with Ringgold Financial and myself. Here's the number and via email. I'll also add my email, so if you need management assistance for District 1 through 3, you can definitely contact us. District 4 through 6, Melissa Hamilton, Synergetic Solutions. District 7 through 9, Mr. Mark Vaughn for FV Consulting. And on the technical, for District 1 through 9, we have Mr. Ron Brown from Gonzalez Companies. Workshop and events. The Borough of Small Business Enterprises brings innovative events to the public with 3 goals in mind: to share skills to become more competitive on IDOT projects, help individuals and businesses work with IDOT, and form strategic partnerships, encourage sharing of best practices, policy, and procedure changes. Each district hosts events year-round to help firms do their best work with IDOT. You can visit bit.ly DBE workshops. So we just had our TCTR last week. It was a great experience. So if you missed it this year, definitely look forward. You should sign up for next year. It was great. We had a great turnout, a lot of useful information, a lot of great workshops, and a lot of DBEs and primes in attendance. Available programs. DBE reimbursement program. So IDOT offers 50% reimbursement to qualifying firms in select categories while funds are available. So these funds can be used for association organization membership costs, training or certification class, website capability statement logo, and more. You can contact the Borough of Small Business Enterprises to discuss criteria for these limited time funds. The Business Development Program. Qualifying DBEs can receive firm-specific guidance to propel their growth in the transportation industry. With a full business evaluation and analysis, tailored training that may be eligible for reimbursement, personalized recommendations to maintain competitiveness. How to apply? Enrollment opens once a year. 15 firms are accepted annually. Applications for 2024 open soon. You can visit idot.illinois.gov for more details. Mobilization payments. To account for the preparatory work and operations necessary for the movement of subcontractor personnel, equipment, supplies, and incidentals to the project site, and for all other work or operations that must be performed or cost incurred when beginning work, the contractor shall make a mobilization payment to each subcontractor. The mobilization payment must be made at least 7 days prior to the subcontractor starting work. The mobilization payment to the subcontractor is an advance payment of the reported amount of the subcontract and is not a payment in addition to the amount of the subcontract. Therefore, the amount of the advance payment will be deducted from future progress payments. The amount paid is a percentage of the value of the subcontract shown in the table below. The HCCTP program, the Highway Construction Careers Training Program, boosts participation of diverse individuals in the industry and on IDOT's highway construction projects. Illinois community college partners offer training in industry, trade, and life skills, such as OSHA 10 certification, welding, forklift operation, first aid, CPR, AED, math for the trades, introduction to electrical, plumbing, sheet metal, carpentry, introduction to tools, and much more. Employment is not guaranteed. However, participants do receive job placement assistance. And here are 4 reasons why HCCTP graduates make ideal hires. They are well trained to fulfill entry-level roles, professional talent with diverse perspectives, eligible for work on IDOT project sites, reimbursement via IDOT training special provision, TPG. So who can apply for the HCCTP program? Eligibility is open to women, minority groups, and other persons from historically underutilized populations. You must be at least 18 years old, have a high school diploma or GED, have a valid driver's license, and ability to pass a drug screening. So we're just going to talk a little bit about Ringgold. Ringgold is led by our managing partner and President Michelle Ringgold. We're an Illinois licensed CPA and management advisory firm established in 2005. We are certified as a DBE firm. We combine 3 major disciplines such as auditing and accounting, regulatory compliance, risk management, and management advisory to offer turnkey solutions that maximize cost savings and efficiencies. We can deliver under one umbrella the highest quality to our clients by using available resources to provide timely, effective solutions. To reinforce these services, we offer a variety of training options on a customized basis. Ringgold has a proven track record of providing effective management supportive services and has helped secure millions of banking and bonding lines of credits to DBE firms, as well as supporting DBE firms in providing accounting and administrative support that help them sustain and grow their businesses. Our staff includes a talented group of licensed and certified public accountants, certified project managers, and business professionals. We provide management services for districts 1 through 3, and some of these services include QuickBooks and other accounting system support, business plan preparation, cash flow analysis, bonding and financing, credit restoration. We'd like to add marketing that was just added and much more. So you can give us a call, contact us if you're interested in any of these management services and you're in District 1 through 3, and we'd be happy to work with you. And now I'm going to pass it over to Lily. Please remember to enter your questions in the Q&A. Make sure you're muted and your camera is off.
Thank you, Olga. Good morning, everyone. I am very excited to be here talking about budgets and cash flow. How we're going to do this is I'm going to go through the slides pretty quickly. I'm going to stop after a couple of slides to see if any of you have any questions and answer your questions and take it from there. And then at the end of the presentation, we'll open up the floor to additional questions and answers. So at the end of this training session, you should have a better idea of why it's important to create budgets, how to create a budget, and how a budget is a very effective tool to manage your business and also your personal finances as well. Next slide, please. So the agenda for the presentation, the first part is going to be what is a budget, why a budget is important, how you create a budget, and one thing that's very difficult for people is where do I start? So we're going to go into how you start preparing a budget and where you would start to gather up your information, various budgeting categories, characteristics of a good budget, and why budgets are so critical. And we will conclude with an example of a budget, and then we'll open up the floor to questions and answers. So a budget is just a financial projection of your business based on the business you are doing currently. So for example, you would look at your revenue at the current stage in time, and then that can be a springboard off to how you would prepare the budget and also look at your expenses, and those will give you a good idea on where you are currently and where to go with the budget. So those are your that is what we call your current assumptions. A budget is for a definite period of time, typically a year, and people can have it for more than a year, but I would recommend if you're new to budgeting, just have it for a year. Next slide, please. So why are budgets so important and so critical? Mostly because it's a financial roadmap for your business. You will make planning, it's good for planning. You can't know what to plan for if you don't know how much money you have coming in and what you have going out. And most importantly, people will look at their budget at year end and see how they've done, whether they've accomplished their goals as far as revenue is concerned, or whether they've accomplished their goals in keeping their expenses in check. And it's also a great forecast for the future, showing you trends for your company or your business. So how do you create a budget? The first and most important step to creating an effective budget is, number one, you write down your financial goals. If you don't really know what your financial goals are, it's going to be really hard to create a budget. So it's very important to brainstorm at the initial time of the process and kind of figure out where you want to go. You track your income and your expenses and go from there. Write down what you want to accomplish as far as your revenue, what your revenue goals are. And based on your revenue, you can pretty much get a good understanding of where your expenses are going to be. And then it's always very important to review your budget, on a regular basis. People do it every quarter. Whatever really works for your firm is what I would recommend you do. If, looking at it every month, can get a little tedious, but depending on the size, if you're a small company, you pretty much know what you have coming in and what you have going out. So maybe you can review your budget on a quarterly basis. But if you're larger, maybe once a month would be advisable. So the first step is you gather up all your information, what you plan on your revenues being, what you plan on your expenses being. And the best way to look at this is looking at your past performance. So look back maybe a year to 3 years and see where you were with all your costs and how much money you have coming in. Maybe you're going to get a large new client in the new fiscal year, so you account for that. Or if you're losing a client that you know of, it would be nice to account for that, because if your revenues drop, you would also have to adjust your expenses. So add up all your revenue sources. That's pretty simple and self-explanatory. What you're going to get from your product sales, if you have any investments, if you're planning on selling any assets, if you're going to be financing through loans, just get an idea of where you have money coming in from. Also, I think it's very important to list your fixed costs first. Fixed costs are things that don't change from year to year. From month to month. Most common examples of fixed costs are your office rent, if you have lease payments on leased furniture, equipment, your cell phone, your professional services, if you have loan payments, insurance payments, salaries. Those really don't change drastically from month to month, and that's why they're called fixed. And these are easier for you to determine than the variable costs, which we will go into in the next slide or so. So here we discuss the other type of cost, which is a variable cost. These change from month to month, and that's why they are harder to predict. And some examples are supplies, inventory, shipping, and delivery. The reason these are hard to predict from month to month is your business changes, your customers' demands and needs change. So you would need to adjust these according to what you are producing or what you are supplying. Other things like advertising and marketing costs are variable, because if your company is having a lean year, that's probably where a lot of companies cut back first. And if you're expanding, you have extra cash, people tend to spend more money on marketing because they're expanding. They have more money to spend on marketing and advertising. Also, there's also maintenance and equipment repair. Sometimes you have it and sometimes you don't, because you never know when one of your computers or your other machinery needs some sort of maintenance or repair. Travel, legal services, and education also variable, because those are not fixed from month to month. Because people don't travel from month to month, you may not need legal services from month to month. So get a good idea on these type of costs and estimate them the best you can. Also, something that a lot of companies don't do is they don't anticipate for one-time expenses during the year, such as, maybe you need to buy new computers, you need to update your software because it just isn't doing it for your business anymore. Maybe you need additional furniture, maybe you're hiring new people, you've decided to take a business retreat, maybe send your people to conferences. So it's very important to account for these one-time expenses as well when you start working on your budget. So the next step is pulling it all together. You've got your information, pull it all together, and then you're well on the way to a good start of getting your budget started. So some of the budget categories, people are like, I don't know what to put and where to put it, what categories to put where, and what expenses to put where. Typically, the most common budget categories are overhead, which is your rent and your utilities, just stuff that you have to pay whether you're doing business or not, salaries, whether you have to pay them, whether you have any business or not, you got to keep your people on. Operating expenses, there are categories for supplies and material, and there's other unexpected costs that you need to think of. The characteristics of a good budget. Everyone can create a budget, but it's very important to have a good budget. Your budget should, it's not really set in stone. It should be flexible because things change, unexpected things come up. It should be a combination of your past, present, and future goals. You need to get everyone, all your department heads involved, because it's a management tool, and it needs to be shared with everyone through the planning process. And even when you go back periodically to revisit your budget, you should include other key players in your organization. And sometimes a budget needs to be adapted, changed. Sometimes your estimates can be too high or too low. And it's always good to be able to modify and be flexible. And it also encourages your managers to kind of take ownership of their operation, because they're the ones who've helped you come up with this budget, and it's their numbers that they've told you that they can accomplish for their department. So it definitely gives people ownership of the operation, and kind of stick to their goals. And then a budget, if something is constantly off, it will show that the weakness in your budget, maybe some of the estimates were too high or too low, and you can easily take a corrective action to get everything back on track if you review your budget on a regular basis. So why are budgets so critical to your success? Well, budgets are critical to your success for 5 reasons. They help you predict your cash flow. They show your banker or your investors how you plan to pay back a future loan. When you go to get a loan, typically a banker will ask you for your annual budget. So it's very important to have a budget ready to go. A budget will also highlight the areas that need to be fixed and improved. Budget also helps you keep your operations running accurately and smoothly, and it helps you take steps in the future to ensure success. I'm going to take a pause here to see if there are any questions.
Let me check. Give me 1 second. Looks like we do not have any questions. So just a reminder, if you have any questions, please make sure that you put in the Q&A, take advantage. We have an expert at budgets, so definitely take advantage of this chance right now. Thank you.
So I'm not going to read through all these. I'm just going to kind of highlight the points. Number one, the budget can help you predict your cash flow and avoid things that you may not have planned. So if your budget, if you're not sticking to your budget, there's something wrong. You just need to take a deeper look into it and identify what the problem is. So a budget also demonstrates how you're going to pay back a loan. A budget signals to potential lenders that you have a plan and you're going to pay back a loan, which makes you a good organization to lend money to. Banks are very strict about who they lend money to, as I'm sure most of you have realized. So if you present them with a good budget and a good plan, you're a good candidate for them to do business with. As I mentioned earlier, budgets are really important because they help you identify any problem areas. If you're noticing large variances from month to month, you need to look at why there are large variances. If there are some small variances, it's okay because it's never really going to be exact. But if you're noticing small variances month to month to month, those will usually lead to a larger variance over the year. So it's good to take a peek at those and see why there's a variance. So as we discussed earlier, a budget really helps you run your operation smoothly because you need to know what you have coming in, what you have going out, and whether that is in line with your goals. Maybe you need to take a look at retraining staff. Maybe you need to take a look at adjusting pricing. Maybe your invoicing process isn't good. Maybe your accounting department is taking too long to process bills. So these are some things that you need to look at if you identify some problems in your budget and you see that the cash coming in isn't as quickly as you had hoped it was. Maybe there's some operational adjustments you need to make. And very important, a budget helps you project the future and take some actionable steps. And this, I think, is very important, probably one of the most important parts of a budget. You want to see where your company is going. We all want our company to grow, and a budget helps you kind of take a peek into the future. If your budget isn't operating the way you want it to be, that's an indication that there's something wrong, and the future may not be exactly how you planned. So you need to take a step back and look at why there are variances in certain areas of the budget and fix those and get yourself back on track for the future goals that you have for your company. This is an example of a budget, and a budget is a document that works for you, that works for your company. One budget for one company may not work for another. So if you look at this, on the top, we have income and we have total expenses. Those are just rolled up from the detail. So, you say actual and then the budget, and you have over budget or under budget. Then the second area is income details, where they have accounted for all the revenue coming in, all the various streams of revenue. You've got sales, interest earned from maybe bank accounts or investments, if they have any fees, commissions, looks like there's some rental income, royalties. So all those are added up and totaled in that area. And then on the bottom part, you have expenses, and usually a company's largest expenses are salaries and wages. So looking at that, you see salaries and wages are a little less than $250,000. So that is pretty high compared to all the other expenses. So it's nice to keep a handle on your personnel costs, because those are what a company usually struggles with. Are you overstaffed? Are you understaffed? If you're overstaffed, you're putting out, you're spending too much money that you don't need to. That's going to affect your bottom line. If you are understaffed, perhaps your production isn't what it's supposed to be, and you need to hire more staff to get your production to the level you need it to be in order to serve your customers adequately. So this is an example of a pretty typical budget, but like I said, what works for one company may not necessarily work for you, but feel free to adjust and adapt according to your needs. So this is also very important. The do's, the don'ts of creating a budget. So don't think your budget is cast in stone. If you need to modify, absolutely go ahead and modify, because if you don't modify, you're looking at a document that's really not doing you any favors and not really helping you make any decisions operationally or otherwise. Don't create a budget that's too strict. Give yourself a little room. Yes, we would like our revenues to go up 50% for the following year, but if you don't have a definitive plan to get to that, and you're looking at your revenues and saying, oh my gosh, my goal was to increase revenues by 500,000, but I haven't done that, you can't make it too strict. You got to adjust, and it's got to be real. Don't get frustrated if you don't immediately stick to your budget. It's a guide. If you overspend in 1 month, you probably need to either change the projected amount for that category, or you need to take a step back and say, did I really need to spend that money? Was there some wastage, or is that really my true cost? And if it's really my true cost, then I need to take another look at my budget and perhaps adjust this one category. Like I mentioned earlier, what works for somebody else may not work for you. So you need to take a look at your business goals and priorities and the growth of your company, and create your own budget. Don't give up. It's not easy to start off with, but once you get the hang of it, you will be able to put down some numbers on paper, and that you'll be able to stick to and help your business achieve its goals.
So we're going to go ahead and pause and see if there's any questions. We'd like to open up the floor for questions. So if you have a question for Lily, you can go ahead and unmute yourself and ask the question. I know in past workshops that we've had for budgets, we do have a budget template for you all. If you are in need of one, we can definitely send one out. So if you do need a budget template to get started, you can email me and I'll get that over to you. I'll go ahead and put my email in the chat. And also we can help you with that. That's included in the management services. So you can, along with getting started with the budget, we can help you with one also.
And then also, if you have questions later on, down the line, please email Olga and she'll forward your questions to me and I'm happy to answer them for you.
Okay, I'm going to go ahead and continue. Thank you, Lily. Thank you for all that wonderful information. So we're going to go over the available resources with IDOT. If you think of a question, go ahead and insert it in the Q&A or in the chat at this point, whatever is easier for you, and we can make sure we get that question answered for you before the workshop is over. Okay. So the Building Blocks of Success workshop series will continue through April 2024. So you can go to the DBE workshops, the link here, or you can scan the QR code. Our next workshop is job costing and work in process. And we're also going to be conducting that workshop, which is Tuesday between 10 a.m. to noon. Here on the right, we have a listing of the series. So we have the financial series from 2/27 to April 2nd, and then we have construction during contract series. That's also in April. Construction post-contract series and construction consultant series in April. We had our marketing and networking also, and then in next week we'll also have our overhead rate calculation workshop next Thursday also. That is it's a very popular one that we do have. So we ask you guys to join, and also for all everyone that has QuickBooks or is looking into QuickBooks, we're going to have detailed QuickBooks workshops on how to set up your company depending on your industry. So just an FYI. And here we have March workshops. Like I said, our next workshop is Tuesday for job costing and work in progress. Our overhead is Thursday. And here you'll see our QuickBooks workshops that will be held in March. And then a good one too is the benefits of using accounting software, which will be the 12th. So the ones that we will be presenting, Ringgold, the industry specific construction, and then professional service, suppliers, and trucking. So that would be how to set up your QuickBooks specific to your industry. And I know in April we do have one for setting up your insurance and payroll. So if you want to submit questions in advance and you see that you have maybe a QuickBooks question before, or an accounting system question before one of the workshops that we're having in the future, you can go ahead and go on this link or scan the QR code and enter in your question here. The form this is the form, this is what it'll look like. You enter in your question and then we'll answer it during our workshop. So workshops and webinars, we are on, IDOT is on YouTube. And you go to the youtube.com/Illinois dot. You're gonna go into the Illinois Department of Transportation and you're gonna go into the playlists. Once you go into the playlist, you'll select the consultant YouTube playlist. So here you'll find our past workshops that we've recorded. They're all here. So if you missed any of our workshops or you want to go through today's workshop, it'll eventually be on the YouTube channel. And then also if we will be sending out a copy of the recording along with the PowerPoint and any helpful resources. So, but if in any case, say you were busy for the QuickBooks workshop and you'd like to see it, you can go ahead and go on the YouTube channel and view it here. So scan the QR code or click the link in the chat provided to provide feedback about this session. And as a reminder, like I said, you'll be receiving an email with the recording, the presentation, and if you'd like a copy of the budget, let me know. I can send that over. And then any upcoming workshops and events, contact information for OBWD staff, consultants, and contract compliance officers. Thank you. And if you need for additional questions or services, you can contact Supportive Services or Bureau of Small Business Enterprises, Office of Business and Workforce Diversity, and here's the number and the email. So again, I'd like to thank everyone, and if no one has any questions, this will conclude today's workshop.
Actually, Olga, thank you for that, and thank you, Lily. There was a question that
Okay.
appeared on the Q&A, and it is from Karen, who asks, are there better budgeting methods that are best for specific company sizes or industries, such as top down or bottom up, flat increases, etc.?
I think it's probably what works for her specific company. Like I said, depending on the size of the company, if the company is small, I would recommend keeping the budget simple instead of dividing it up into various departments and categories. And if it's a larger organization, then of course you have to divide, you have to segregate departments and have revenue streams for each department and expenses for each department. So I think initially to keep it simple is the best.
Thank you, Lily. And to reiterate what Olga said, we will be sending out an email to all of today's attendees with a copy of the presentation and a link to the video recording of the presentation. That video recording will also somewhere along the line be available on the YouTube channel that Olga explained. So thank you both very much for a very informative session.
Thank you, Brian.
And we'll leave
Yeah,
this.
thank you for having us, Brian.
Sure thing. And we'll leave this open for just another minute or so in case anyone has any other questions.
If you do put it in the Q&A or chat, make sure it's to everyone because I wasn't able to see the Q&A question. So you might have just sent it to Brian. So if you have a question, unmute yourself so we can get to it real quick.
Looks like we're good.
All right. Thank you, Brian.
Thank you. Have a good rest of your day.
Thank you.
Thank you. Bye-bye, Lily.